Welcome to the Reid Method Insider podcast. This is episode 66 of the show. I can't believe we're at 66 episodes. We've been recording quite a few episodes lately, and it's certainly been fun. While we've been on lockdown for a while, so we've had definitely enough time to do that, to record podcasts and all these tons of webinars and stuff that we've done. So here we go. Tonight's show is with a LinkedIn expert about creating consistent and impactful engagement on the platform. And I'm certainly pumped to welcome my guest because, yes, as she alluded to earlier, she's a fellow Jamaican and reached out to me some time ago, and we've been in touch ever since. So I'm excited to have her on the show, and just want to share with you about my special guest tonight. She's the president of Executive Oasis International, a professional team building facilitator, keynote speaker, and I know her as an authoritative figure on LinkedIn, capturing the minds and hearts of over 18,000 followers and counting. Before starting her own business, as our guest shaped the management development strategy at two major Canadian companies, Bell Mobility, which we all know here in Canada, and Via Rail, or National Railway, where she spearheaded management development and organizational change initiatives. With an MBA from York University, Schulich School of Business. I try saying that 3 times. Schulich School of Business in Toronto, Canada, and MSW from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and an undergraduate degree from McGill University. Okay, so this lady is like stacked up with all the accolades, with an extensive business experience in a variety of industries, including banking, wireless communications, transportation, nonprofit, and the film and television industry. It's no wonder she has been able to connect with and influence tens of thousands of social followers on her social platforms with her engaging and exclusive writing style. So it's long overdue that we welcome Anne Thornley Brown to the show. Welcome to episode 66. It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much. That reminds me of Street 66.
Yeah, and she's funny too. That's cool.
I think that's Linton Kwesi Johnson's song. Street 66, come on in and take some licks.
Wow. Well, you see, now I know where she get her creative side from already. This is cool. So you've worked in many countries, I see. I was looking at your profile and she's been all over the place. Many countries, including the Middle East, Asia, or you've been exposed to those countries for sure. So tell us what led you to such broad international exposure and that influence, and what did you take away or learn from yourself from that experience traveling?
Well, first of all, when I designed my first website, I designed it myself because everyone said they were building a website. So I thought they were building a website. I didn't know you could hire people to do that. So I went to the store, I bought Corel Web Designer, and I actually, when I was designing the website, I wanted to reflect a tropical oasis. So I patterned it after my favorite resort in Jamaica, the Enchanted Garden was the name at the time. And I did that to appeal to a Caribbean audience. But next thing, I'm hearing from people in Asia. And I thought, what? Well, a marketing person I was speaking with said that the colors were considered to be very yummy in an Asian culture. So that's how I started flying over. I didn't go after it. God sent the right people to my website.
Oh, nice. That's outstanding. I saw that. I'm like, look at all these places she's been and all the different cultures she's been exposed to. So
yeah, they found me. Sometimes in life we do what we know how to do and we do all the right things, but it's like when you're a farmer, you can plant that seed, you can water, fertilize, weed, but the only person who can make it grow is God.
Well, outstanding. Look at that.
Yeah, so and God knows of opportunities that we haven't even dreamt of.
And I think this is an opportunity right here that we're connecting tonight on the show. So another one of your many talents is acting.
Yes.
So what is that like, being in front of the cameras and in that zone? Does that require tons of focus, or for you, it just comes naturally?
I've always loved acting. I mean, as a child, I certainly did school plays and church plays and, drama at camp. And I just loved it, So for me, in a way it comes naturally. But the main thing about acting is you have to get out of your own way.
Yeah.
That's why you have to take some classes and workshops and really work on that.
No, that's cool. So, and I see that you were in a few commercials.
Not enough. I need more.
So see, folks, she's still working at it. That's amazing. So I think I saw somewhere where you've been on LinkedIn. And since we're here to talk about your expertise on LinkedIn and what you can share with our audience today and how we can get better on LinkedIn, including myself, and how to write so amazingly to engage the audience. I see that you've been on LinkedIn since 2004. Is that right?
That's correct.
Oh, my goodness.
I got on there 2004.
So that was like 2 years after the company was founded.
Okay. My executive Oasis company was started in 2003. And it's a spin-off of another company that I founded in 1996, another brand.
Wow. So LinkedIn came on board in 2002, and there you were on the platform already. I don't think I've met anyone yet that has been on the platform. How many years would that be? 16?
Well, it's a lot of years.
Yeah, that's a lot of years to be on LinkedIn. So, what caught your attention back then about the platform?
Well, I was on a platform called Rise, RYZE, and it's one of my colleagues who told me about it. Mm-hmm. And I went on there and I just started engaging. I had already started doing work in Malaysia. So I joined one of the Malaysian groups and I told them that I was coming to Malaysia. And the next thing I heard from another Malaysian company and they wanted to bring me over. So I thought, oh man, this is so easy. This is piece of cake. So I don't know how I found out about LinkedIn, but I thought that that's the way it was going to be, that you just post and next thing you're going to get work.
Wow. So how did it work? How did it start in the first place? Because we all know when we first get on LinkedIn, we have no clue what's next.
Well, with LinkedIn, for the first 4 years, I really didn't do anything. But when I started blogging, that was 2008, I started sharing links to my posts in groups. Groups were very big. Mm-hmm. And I started tweeting links to my posts. And immediately my blog traffic exploded. Because in those days, not now so much, but in those days, people would actually click on your links. Mm-hmm. And so that was really great. And originally, I started blogging to help my team building business. It didn't work. Really didn't work. But a lot of editors read my work and started contacting me and saying, oh, we love your work. We want you to write for us and we'll pay you. And I said, okay. So again, an opportunity I wasn't looking for. Yeah. But God has a way of bringing those opportunities to you.
Outstanding. So as LinkedIn has evolved over 18 years now, and has anything surprised you, since you were pretty much there since the beginning, has anything surprised you or exceeded your expectations or you have learned since being on the platform longer than anybody else I know?
Well, first of all, it's always changing. And sometimes I like the changes. Sometimes I don't like the changes. So groups were really strong. I met a lot of really interesting people. I got some blogging work through that, a couple of team building assignments, but not many. Mm-hmm. And I got to actually cover a lot of trade shows and conferences and events for the portals I was blogging for. So that worked really well. But then in 2015, things changed. Mm-hmm. Suddenly groups weren't visible. I mean, I was managing one of the largest groups on LinkedIn. We grew from 4,000 members in 2008 to over 250,000 people by the time I stepped down as manager 3 years ago.
Wow.
And suddenly that was dead. It was just dead in the water. So my main thing is whatever platform you're on, make sure that when you're building your network, you are capturing those contacts and staying in touch with those people independent of the platform, because it can change overnight. So that's the main thing.
So in terms of, so now you're talking about groups. What?
Yeah.
So back then, are you saying LinkedIn groups today are not as effective as they were in the past?
They're not as visible as they were in the past. So unless you can train your members to check in daily and engage, they're just not going to see the content. Everything has gone to this home feed now. And a lot of the content, the only way you can get your content to show up on that LinkedIn feed is if people comment on it and like it. You could put up the most brilliant post, and if nobody comments on it and likes it, very few people are going to see it.
So these are among some of the changes in algorithms and all this stuff that LinkedIn has evolved over the while, So the people, so the trick here is the people that draw engagement are the ones that pretty much get to the forefront. Absolutely.
And in terms of getting that engagement, there are a few things that I've observed. First of all, if you do a post and it's just text, it tends to work better. You can put a couple of emojis in there, and I always do, so that when people are scrolling, what you post shows up. But if you put a link, let's say you put a link to an article or to a blog post right in your status update, it's not going to do well. It's not going to show up. And I guess it's because LinkedIn doesn't want people to leave the platform. The other thing is with videos, the algorithm keeps changing. So sometimes I notice that YouTube videos do better if you post the link. Other times the videos do better if you actually upload them as MP4s to your platform. So it does vary. Photos do fairly well, but the main thing is don't put links in your status update because it'll kill the post.
Links. So these are some of the intricacies and things that I'm learning, and I'm slow at it, which is why I have somebody that helps me to do this stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that.
No, trust me, I have no. It's not me. It's not all me, anyways. It's the majority is not me, and thankfully I have help. But I'm trying to understand, because I do notice that some posts we put up go crazy.
Yes, they do.
Thousands of, people engaging and liking or views, right? Yeah. You'll see the amount of views, and then proportionately you'll see the amount of likes, and then obviously the amount of comments.
Yes.
And back and forth it goes forever and ever and ever.
Right.
And even weeks later, people are still commenting on that post.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you then, as a LinkedIn expert, how do you figure this out? How do you keep up with all these changes actually, so that you can know how to pivot and to make these, to continuously engage?
Trial and error. It really is trial and error. And by the way, I don't consider myself to be a LinkedIn expert. And the reason I don't consider myself to be a LinkedIn expert is because I originally went on there to post to promote my team building business. And it hasn't worked well for that. So until I achieve that goal,
that's no your mark.
What else I accomplish, I'm going to say, no, I haven't nailed it. But
okay,
a couple of things. One thing guaranteed to make your content show up, if a member with a ton of contacts comments on your posts, it'll just take off. I had a post and it had over 1 million views. Had nothing to do with me. Bridget Hyacinth, who's from Trinidad, by the way.
Yes.
She commented. And when she comments, you can get 50,000, 60,000, 100,000, and in one case, over 1 million. I shared something of hers and it had over 1 million views.
Yes, and I've seen that. And regarding Bridget and I were connected before she had 5,000 followers.
Right.
We were, and that's not too long ago. For her, that's about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yes.
Because she published
not even.
That's right, because we both published our books at the first, pretty much at the same time, and we connected back then, and we communicated back then on messaging when she had more time, right? And only a few followers, but that was that happened right before our eyes, where we saw literally every day, tens of thousands of people. And then she would come on and say, well, I added 30,000 or 50,000 people this week. Here's how to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
And she really went after it because she understood a lot earlier than most of us that the way to do well on that platform is to grow a mega network. Now, LinkedIn rules still say connect with people you know. And in fact, if you send too many people connection requests and they click I don't know, good luck. You're going to need the email address before you can send out any more for each person. But she disregarded that. And she has now maybe 2.5 million followers.
Well, she maxed out on her account, which is 2.5 million followers.
Well, the max of connections is 30,000 direct connections. And after that, I believe any number of people can follow you. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, I saw a message from her, and this is stuff that I'm learning as I go, where it got to 2.5 million.
And she can't take any more?
And she can't. Apparently, that's the
that's interesting.
Followers, yeah.
Not too many people have gone that high.
I've not seen, this is her, she's the first person I've seen that I follow or that we've communicated with. And yes, I've seen, she liked my stuff and we've commented back and forth a couple of times. But you're right, to see that in front of your eyes and to see that when she posts and the engagement between all her followers, and then they start, commenting and following you and you want to join your network, it's just unbelievable. And I had another guest. Her name is, I think I mentioned to you when we spoke earlier, her name is Janaki. She's out of India. I don't want to mess up her last name.
You mentioned her. Yes.
And she was growing at like 1,000 to 2,000 per day. Right. And it's just amazing. And she did this over, just while being home. And it to me, it just looked too simple. And that's the thing for me is like, I think some people overcomplicate what you need to put on LinkedIn. And sometimes simpler works a lot better. So what do you find with that?
Okay, there's good news and there's bad news. First of all, tell me.
That's why you're here.
Once you get to a certain number, and I don't know what the magic number is. Okay, I don't. Once you get to a certain number, all of your content goes viral. Once you get to a certain number of followers.
Gotcha.
Okay, so Bridget, she could put up a smiley face and nothing else, and it would go viral. I'm going to ask her to try that. All right.
Yes.
So that's the first thing. You have to grow your network as much as possible. The other thing, and I learned this the hard way, is you have to grow it very strategically. Because if you just accept all of the connection requests you get, what was happening to me, and I noticed this last year, is they were showing my content to a lot of people in India and Nigeria and Nepal, Pakistan, and they were hardly showing it to anybody in Canada. Mm-hmm. So I had to really cut thousands of people off my network. And I pretty much am trying to focus on growing Canadian and Jamaican followers because that's where I'm targeting right now with what's happening in the world.
Well,
the other thing that I noticed, and I have, every now and then I get a little frustrated. That's just the way I am. And then I do crazy things like back in, I think it was 2016, I noticed that women were posting photos in really skimpy clothing and showing cleavage. There was a bikini model, and I'm not going to name her. But anyway, she put up a picture of a Miss USA in a bikini bottom, and half her bottom was out. Mm-hmm. It was just ridiculous. And that went viral, and it caused a lot of controversy because people kept typing and saying, this isn't appropriate for LinkedIn. This isn't appropriate for LinkedIn. And the more people who comment, the more people see it, right?
Yeah.
So she did very well. She ended up getting a Forbes column. She got a write-up in Forbes about what happened to her, and she got a Forbes column and so on. And so that's when I say there's a positive and negative side to this. And,
well, I want to give a shout out while we are on live on Facebook Live tonight with our special guest, Anne Thornley Brown, on creating consistent content and impactful engagement on LinkedIn. We have Katie Maris watching. So thank you, Katie, for tuning in. And I'm not sure where she is right now because she travels all over the place. And Angel Jones, my colleague, he's in Trinidad and he's watching. So
I wonder if he knows Bridget.
Well, I think I definitely mentioned Bridget to him, so I'm pretty sure he's probably figured that out by now.
Yeah, make friends with Bridget. Every time she comments, you're going to have lots of views.
Well, see, there you go. She's definitely a massive influencer. So here's I'm learning as we go, and this is amazing. And this is why I definitely I wanted you on the show. So, what are 3 things? What would you say are 3 key reasons that propelled you now, in my opinion, to an influential contributor on LinkedIn?
Okay, I'm going to talk first about positive things.
Okay.
Now I'm going to talk about things that people do and they get results, but I don't advocate it.
Gotcha.
Right? So I realized this would have been maybe 3 years ago or 3.5 years ago. I was still trying to work the groups thing and it wasn't working. Kind of wasn't visible. So I realized I had to migrate to the feed. So I thought, you know what? I'm stubborn. I'm going to give this thing a good shot and I'm going to post every single day. So I posted every day. I came up with an editorial calendar. So my first tip to everybody is come up with an editorial calendar. So whether you're going to post every day or 3 times a week, come up with a theme for every day of the week. So for example, Monday, I do team building tips. Tuesday, I focus on economic trends. And the series is called Connecting the Dots. And I started that. Remember when on Christmas Eve, the stock market really plunged?
Yeah.
For my own business, I thought, you know what? I have to be more disciplined in monitoring these trends. So to keep me disciplined, I started that Tuesday series. Hardly anybody watched that. Hardly anybody engaged on that. Now people are engaging on it. They realize how important it is. Wednesday, I used to do team building destinations. And I would pick really delicious videos of the most glorious locations, Jamaica, Dubai, wherever.
I've seen all of those. Absolutely.
You've seen them?
Yeah, I've definitely seen them.
Now, what I've done since COVID-19 and the borders are closed, I have switched to a new series on Wednesday called Lemons to Lemonade. And I've been featuring local businesses in my area. And I also did one for my cousin who's in New York. And I'm going to be doing a Jamaican one soon. And I'm focusing on what are businesses doing to pivot and change in the face of COVID-19. That's Wednesday. Thursday is team building pitfalls. Those often end up being rants. And Friday, what do I do on Friday? Oh, yes, team innovation. So I'm looking normally for really eye-popping technology, 3D projection, mapping, all that cool stuff. But I've also been focusing, for example, on what some Jamaican companies are doing. They're manufacturing ventilators, masks, hand sanitizers. So I'm focusing on that, primarily Canadian and Jamaican companies. What are they doing? How are they innovating in view of COVID-19? And then on Saturday I get naughty.
I can't imagine you.
So Saturdays, I have a series called Sizzling Hot Topics. And it's everything from Paul Carrick-Brunson. Are you connected with him?
I am, and I've been on some of his lives.
Okay. So, for example, he did a post about somebody whose name I'm not going to mention, who made the Forbes cover because, she's part of a dynasty and, they take their clothes off all the time. And I'm not going to name the family. I'm not going to give them any more publicity.
Absolutely.
But when I saw
we can all guess.
Yeah. When I saw that she was on the cover of, was it Forbes or Fortune? I can't remember. I was livid. My Jamaican blood was just boiling. I was absolutely furious. So I did a post about it. And I actually did a video. And I put on a wig and I didn't show any cleavage or anything, but I put on a leather jacket and I spoke about how I felt about this thing. And hey, it did really well. And the reason I do these topics on Saturday is because I hope and pray that none of my clients or prospective clients are watching. So I do. The other one I did was Kavanaugh. Remember all these hearings about him? Mm-hmm. So I did a post about him and what was going on. And my topic was about whether or not we should be digging up what people did in high school, right? And using it to crucify them. And boy, that went wild. So that's Saturday. I tend to do that. Okay.
So you have a theme for every day. So you're talking about
every day. And occasionally, now that we have COVID-19 and there's been the whole Black Lives Matter, I might do something like that during the week. Like I did something on Aunt Jemima.
Oh, yes, I saw that article.
Views. Oh, people were really like,
I saw that. Yes.
Yeah, it was a hot one.
So let's dive a little deeper.
Yes.
How do I get all these themes 7 days of the week, and that's a lot for anybody to do.
And you don't have to do 7 days of the week. Cher Jones, who's based in Toronto, I think she does once a week.
Yeah. No, you're right. And you can do 3 days, 4 days, or whatever. Yeah. But so diving a little deeper, how do you let's talk about the creative side of this now.
Yeah.
You're going hard at it 7 days, and what drives you? Where does this creativity come from that creates this daily content day after day after day? Like, how the hell do you go from one theme to the next and know what you're doing?
The themes keep me on track. So if I'm preparing something Sunday and I'm preparing something for Monday, I know, okay, it's got to focus on team building tips. So that narrows it down for me. And then I might think about what's going on in the world with respect to team building, or what things have happened in my business that I feel strongly about. And I will do a post regarding that. For the stock market and economic posts, I do a search and I see what's going on in the market. I did something yesterday, or was it today? I posted it last night. It was about the fact that certain companies have been booted off the TSX. Can you imagine? BlackBerry and Bombardier have been booted off the TSX. Yeah, because the Bombardier's trading as penny stock. Yeah. So I did a post about that. And I encourage my clients to monitor those trends. So it's still on brand.
Good old BlackBerry is off the TSX. Wow. And Bombardier, two iconic Canadian companies.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine? These were like way up there, not even in my league. I could never even reach them.
Well, I had the pleasure of doing business with the inventor of the BlackBerry, Mr. Mike Lazaridis. Everybody knows he invented the BlackBerry in his basement in Kitchener.
Yes.
Kitchener, Waterloo, while...
So you got to do business with him. How did you manage that? You should give me some tips.
Well, in the car business, wealthy people and CEOs drive cars too. So
of course. Yeah,
right? So I was fortunate enough to take care of his account while I worked in Waterloo with the Land Rover and Volvo company.
Okay.
So, yeah, and we actually connected very well. We occasionally messaged on our then little BlackBerry, and you should see in my office here, I have a collection of BlackBerries.
You really?
I do. And if I knew we were going to talk about this, I would probably feature it. I may actually take a picture and when I do the write up and the post.
Somebody put up something like that on YouTube yesterday. And it showed the evolution of BlackBerry.
Yes. Well, I was there for the very first one that was just a little pin text machine. So I'm very familiar with it.
So you can post about that.
Yes, maybe. That's why you're on the show, to teach me this stuff, Anne.
Here's the deal. There's ideas all over. All you have to do is walk around the block and keep your eyes open. There's tons of ideas.
See, there you go, folks. She simplifies it so much, walk around the block, look for ideas, sit down and write something creative about it.
Look at the headlines. So number one, an editorial calendar really helps. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Number two.
Now this is a little controversial. If you just put up a post and you don't have a huge network like Bridget, it's not going to go very far. Mm-hmm. So what you can do is either email it out to people in your network, or you can tag people and hope that they comment. But don't just tag everybody. Make sure it's relevant to them.
Yeah.
And the third thing that's really controversial is pods. Now, what's a pod? It's a message window. We have the message windows on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. So you get together with a group of people who have content that you respect. And then every day people can post the links and they comment on each other's content. And if you can get people to comment on each other's content within the first, few minutes or half hour or whatever, you're going to find it gets more engaged.
Yeah, so that will help to drive the conversation.
It gets things started.
Yes, and I've done this. You're right. I've definitely posted where I've tagged colleagues and associates that I know the content is relevant to.
Right.
And it immediately gets them engaged, and they comment, and then they, a couple of them may share as well. So I can certainly see that, but I wasn't familiar with pods. Yeah, they're called pods, and remember, LinkedIn is always changing. They could wake up tomorrow and say, we don't like pods. They could. But a lot of people you see going viral, they belong to a number of pods. Gotcha. And they comment on other people's content, and then they drop their links, and people comment on theirs and like theirs. Yes. So, and is there a third, or was that, no, that was two. Do you have a third? Yeah. And the third one is engage. So this is where I comment on other people's posts. There you go. That I have something decent to say or to contribute. Yeah. And I've done that. I've done that more and more now than in the past, because before, believe it or not, I didn't want to make a fool of myself, like going back 2-3 years ago and write stuff. But I do it now, and people engage like crazy in some instance. So I can appreciate that. So here we go, folks. Those are the 3 key tips. I'm going to recap. So have an editorial calendar. Yes. Is the first one. The last one we just covered is engage with other people. And the third one is find a strategy for getting people to engage with you, whether it's tagging, whether you're going to email links to people, or whether you're going to be in a pod. If I post something about Jamaica, I get into my connections. I search for people from Jamaica, and I'll make sure I send the link out to, I don't know, depends on my mood, 20 people. Yeah. Whatever. And that's why you include me in those links. I know. Oh, see, now I know. I hit you from time to time. If it's got to do with Toronto or Jamaica, I don't do it all the time, or you get annoyed with me. No. How often do you hear from me? Probably once a week or once every 2 weeks. There you go. Yeah. So am I bugging you? Is it too much? No. Okay. So you can. As a matter of fact, going forward, I'll be hurt if you don't include me. How's that? Okay. So if you're going to every day be sending your links to the same people, they're going to get annoyed. Yeah. No, absolutely. I certainly appreciate that. You include me in a lot of them, so that's cool. So what? And I said I would talk about the reverse. Yeah. What works that I don't endorse. Okay. So tell me. Let's hear that. Okay. So the first thing, and it drives me nuts, and I mentioned it already, is the women who get on there and they post sexy pictures and that. It works, okay? I'm not going to do it, but they do it. Yes. The second thing that works is people put up silly videos. I mean, silly, stupid things, and they go viral. I got frustrated last year because people were putting up, a man on an elephant shooting a basketball, or just ridiculous. Yeah. Stuff that would be more belong to other platforms and not LinkedIn. No, they do it on LinkedIn and they go viral. And it drives me crazy. So I got so mad. I think it was, who was it? It may have been Ronell Richards, I think. And he, because I commented and I complained. I do that sometimes. And he said, I don't care if people want to put a video up of a dog riding on, a monkey riding on the back of a dog like a horse, if it works for them, I don't care. So I went to YouTube and I searched and I found this monkey riding on the back of a greyhound like a dog and like a horse doing show jumping. And I was so upset. I put it up and I said, okay, folks, is this really what you want to see here on LinkedIn? And lots of comments. So and then you're brave. Listen, no, I just sometimes get very intense. Yeah. And then I took a month off because I was just so frustrated. But during that month, my mother was visiting. And I came up with this idea because there's a character named Bobby the Bear on LinkedIn. He posts, it's a bear, it's a white teddy bear, but he posts good content. And he actually put a challenge out. And the question was, does social media suck? Right? So I actually saw it on Facebook and I thought, hey, since I have opinions on this, why don't I do it? So my son has a giant teddy bear. I put a dress on the bear.
And I called the bear Bernice the Bear, and I wrote a script, but it was a Jamaican bear. And my Jamaican accent is, I think it's good. Nobody Jamaican does. So I got my mother to read the script for Bernice the Bear. And I put it up, does Lincoln suck? Why, me not know. This is horse, dog, and monkey pan Lincoln. So that comes to my third point. What is up with these cats and dogs, elephants, bears? People put these things up and they're going viral. And in fact, I was speaking with an African member, and he usually does really good content. And every now and then he puts in scenery and it's really beautiful. But then he'll put up some stupid thing with some dogs dancing or whatever. And it goes viral. And he says, he says, I'm being strategic. I realize that this is the type of thing people like. So I'm being really strategic. And I'm only doing this every now and then to grow my network. So
wow,
it works.
Whatever works, I guess, for some people.
It drives me nuts, but it works. If that's what you want to do, go for it.
So with that said, and you've given us quite a bit of the, the kind of behind the scenes tips and the obvious tips, and then things that, I probably wouldn't think of, or, because it requires creativity and focus. And I don't spend a lot. I spend a lot of time there communicating and engaging, but not a lot of time as much as I probably should, because I'm doing other things. But so let me ask you, what has kept you there? Not just every day posting different themes, but what has kept you there for 16 years?
Stubbornness.
What's your why behind 16 years on LinkedIn? My
why is stubbornness. Okay. I am determined to find a way to make this thing work. And yes, I've got lots of writing business. I've got some really good blogging business out of it. But I am determined to make it work for my team building company. And I'm not going to let any platform defeat me. And I'm going to keep trying different things until it works. That's just the way I am.
Wow. And that's a huge aspect and a huge attribute of personal success in any spectrum. And that anyone wants, if you want to be successful at anything, perseverance and persistence, and you call it a bit of stubbornness, but whatever you want to call it, stay in the course, pivoting, adjusting, improving, whatever it takes. So that's great. So to many who join LinkedIn and start to post, right. Are there different reasons and styles why people should post? And, some people are waiting for engagement to promote themselves or services. I mean, what are some of the must-haves if you're going to start tomorrow versus somebody who's already probably experienced?
Well, first of all, you have to grow your network. If you don't have any connections, nobody's going to engage, nobody's going to see. Uh-huh. So reach out to your colleagues, reach out to current and former clients, friends and family, anybody you know, and invite them to connect with you. So initially focus on people you know and connections that you have. Then when you start to post, tag these people or send them, the link from time to time. And make sure, in my opinion, yes, if you put up stupid videos, you're going to grow your network, but how's that going to help your business? I don't know. So make sure whatever you put up is on brand. You can put in something light every now and then, but don't do that every day because your credibility is going to really take a hit. Mm-hmm. And there are a couple of things to do when you're posting that will increase the likelihood that people will engage. So, for example, I always start with a topic, and I try to put a question at the very top.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I put emojis so that when people scroll through the feed, there's some color. It breaks things up. Don't post in these big blocks. Just do sentence by sentence. A member who, by the way, has been banned now, but he did that. He would go one sentence per paragraph, and because it's easier to read on a mobile phone.
Yeah.
That way people are more likely to read and are more likely to engage. End with a question. Always put 1 or 2 questions. And again, put an emoji in front of each question. Put some hashtags. And that's just the number sign with whatever your topic is. And then I usually, if I have room, I will underneath put something like, okay, every Tuesday I post about economic trends and the stock market. I post a lot of Canadian content if it's a Canadian post, or I post a lot of Jamaican content if it's a Jamaican post. If this is a value, connect with me. That's kind of a little formula you can use. Now, that's for your text posts. If you're doing video, there's some people like Shay Row Bottom. No, she says it's Row Bottom. Row Bottom. Okay. She has done really well with videos. She puts up a video every single day, and she edits it with captions. She cuts. She has very fast cuts and edits in her videos. That's what we're used to seeing on commercials, right? When you see the most effective commercials, they move. They're very fast. You don't just see somebody sitting there and talking. So okay. She cuts her videos, and she adds a lot of energy and excitement. She does a variety of topics, and she has quite the following. I'm not even sure how many followers she has now, but she's hit the magic number. Her content always goes viral. So those are just a couple of things.
I mean, this is amazing stuff. So the one question I want to ask you, because I've been doing this more and more lately, when I do post myself as opposed to my team, I've been trying to include more emojis and a little bit more color. Yeah. But so to the folks listening, is that text that you copy from outside of LinkedIn and you paste it in to get? Because I've never been able to find it within the platform. So is that external?
They don't have it. No, Facebook has it.
Yeah, so Facebook has it. So I'm doing it right, where I'm copying it from other places.
Exactly.
And putting it in there
you can take it from Facebook, or you can just, if you want a Jamaican flag emoji, just Google that. It'll take you to Emojipedia. You copy and you paste.
Okay.
You can find all kinds of things. And I will use. I started last year. After I took a month off because I was so upset, and I spoke with some of my friends, and they said, "Well, what if you find you're not getting the business as a result of posting team building all the time? You're passionate about writing. You're passionate about acting. Why don't you start doing posts about that?" Mm-hmm. So I started doing that. I do those occasionally, and I found the slate that's used on movie sets. I found little books. I found video cameras, movie cameras, people writing with pens. And so whatever the theme is, I use a variety of emojis.
Oh, that's outstanding. And this is stuff I'm learning, because I'd like to, spice it up a little bit, not goofy or anything, but I like context when I'm posting text for it to be like in bullet points, or you're right, not jumbled together.
It's easier to read.
But it's easier to read. It's spaced out a bit. So I definitely, and that's something I wanted to learn for myself. It's like, am I doing this right? Where do people get all this cool text in LinkedIn? And I Googled a little bit about that, and I learned that there was a software you could post the text in it and convert, and then you could copy it and then put it in LinkedIn, and you get the bigger, bold text.
Those are called Unicode.
Unicode.
And the only challenge with Unicode is, for example, if I use Unicode, it's on my mobile. Sometimes it shows up, sometimes it doesn't. So you have to experiment a bit and see what's going to show up.
Gotcha.
But the Unicode works.
So
there are sites that are called Unicode Creator.
Gotcha. That's the software, Unicode Creator?
There are a number of platforms that are Unicode creators, quite a number of them. So Google that.
So one of the last questions I have is, now that you've posted, and I think you may have touched on this a little bit already, you've posted where you thought it would resonate and have tons of engagement, and it didn't.
Right.
And then you've posted something like totally, where you may not have been the most confident, and it goes crazy.
Yeah.
What's that like? And what have you learned from that?
I have learned, and this is very important. I have learned you have to find topics that are hot and that are relevant to your business. Mm-hmm. So, for example, when this whole COVID-19 thing started, I've been through SARS because SARS hit Toronto and Asia. And I was doing a lot of business in Asia then. And I didn't work for a year. So as soon as people started talking about COVID-19, I thought, ooh, this is not good. Mm-hmm. And I realized that there was going to be economic fallout. So I started posting about COVID-19 very early. I think it must have been the second or third week of February. And next thing, LinkedIn editors started featuring my posts.
Yes, I've seen these. I've seen this and I get the notifications at Anne Thornley Brown's.
I don't get them.
Yeah, well, I get them. That says, it comes up, Anne Thornley Brown's article was featured in LinkedIn post.
And I think they send it to every member of your network.
Yeah. So I get those, and I've received those often. I could tell you without exaggeration, I have received at least a half a dozen.
Oh, good.
Maybe as many as 8. Well,
my Aunt Jemima post was featured because it's a hot issue. When PepsiCo decided they were going to drop that, it's all about stereotyping. And stereotyping can get in the way of team effectiveness. So it's relevant to my business. So, and plus I have very strong feelings about it.
See, so there you go. And this is why you're on the show, because we're getting notifications that your articles are being featured by LinkedIn, right? So you got to come on and tell us how you do it. And this. Now
I'm going to give away a little secret.
Yes, let's hear that secret before we go.
Once I found that the editors were featuring my posts, I thought, you know what? I'm not going to just leave this to chance. So I started tagging them. So if it's a post about something that's happening in the news, I will tag maybe, 6, 8 LinkedIn editors, and some of them pick it up.
Well, good for you. I mean, this is encouraging. This is exciting stuff, because I'm a recipient of those notifications that says my connection here, her article has been featured, and I'm like, look at that again. So this is why you're on the show, to share the audience how you do it and how you've had the success.
I also go on LinkedIn, I go on Twitter. And on Twitter, I will, if it's something that's in the news and controversial, I will actually put the title with emojis. I'll put the link. I'll use some hashtags, and I'll tag. They switched it. It's now at LinkedIn News. It used to be at LinkedIn Editors. So your LinkedIn editors will see that, and sometimes they'll feature your posts. And then, it goes nuts. It goes absolutely nuts. A lot of people engage.
Outstanding. Well, this has been
is to really get the right people to see your content and start to hire you. And one thing that I've started doing, and apparently Bridget did this in the early days, I've identified a list of potential clients that I'd like to work with, and I look for executives who are active, and I start going in and I start commenting on their posts. Even if I do an innovation piece, like I did Bluescape. You've seen the Bluescape commercials. Mm-hmm. I did one about Second Life, and I tagged the CEOs of those companies, and they actually engaged. So That's a way to make it more strategic and targeted on your market.
Well, I certainly see you on LinkedIn a lot, and you've actually learned and you've taught me a lot. And this is somebody, folks, that's been on the platform for 16 years. Her articles are featured by LinkedIn editors. I get notifications of that all the time. And I've certainly been a part of her network, and I'm proud to be a part of her Jamaican heritage as well. It's all cool. So Anne, before we go, why don't we just take another minute or so to wrap up and to recap?
Okay.
What our takeaways will be for this show today?
Okay, so recaps. Have an editorial calendar.
Yes.
Really important. Engage with other people's content. You want to also make sure that you find strategies to get people to engage with you. So whether you're going to tag the people, or you're going to send the emails out with your links, or join a pod, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, go for it. In terms of getting even more visibility, if you can make friends with some people who have very big networks, I'm talking mega networks, and invite them to comment. Maybe occasionally I'll email Bridget and I'll say, this one's really important to me. And she'll come in and comment. That helps me a lot.
Nice.
Okay. Also, engage with people who are in your target market, whether they are executives, whether they are editors or journalists. Engage with their content. And finally, you need to try and get the attention of LinkedIn editors and see if you can get them to feature your content. If you can, it's a big help. And you do that by tagging them.
Nice. Now, these are awesome tips. And listen, I'm actually going to listen to this episode again myself. Yeah. And here's what I'm going to definitely do with this episode. This went on for about an hour. And I'm definitely going to split this episode, folks, up into two, part 1 and 2. So it'll probably be episode 66 and 67.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I'm down for that.
Just so, because just to keep them at about a half an hour, 25 minute length on the audio version of the show. We'll definitely create some videos for the audience for this as well, because I've learned a lot. There's a lot of content here that we've touched on in an hour, and I definitely want to thank Anne for. And how does the audience get apart from on LinkedIn? How does the audience reach you? Where else would they can they get a hold of you, Anne?
Okay, my website is executiveoasis.com. And nice. On Facebook, I have a company page, which is Executive Oasis International. On Facebook, I tend to more connect with either friends, family, or people in the acting business, so that when I want to get on here and misbehave and do videos with Raggedy Andy with a Jamaican accent, I don't have to worry about my clients speaking over my shoulders. So I'll tend not to accept a lot of contacts, friend requests from people I don't know on Facebook, but you're welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter at Executive Oasis. That's business. And I post more personal content at A. Thornley Brown.
Wow. There you go, folks. It's been a pleasure to have Anne Thornley Brown on the show. It's episode 66, and we're definitely going to split this up into a couple. So you'll have a part A and B with all this amazing content and knowledge on how to feature yourself, how to grow your network on LinkedIn, how to get engagement, how to expand, how to be featured by LinkedIn editors, how to have all the influencers see how to become an influencer, how to, and so many cool tips. I mean, I made a whole bunch of notes here. You shared a lot about the calendar. You shared a lot about text, posting text, about video posts, about engagement, tagging, relevant people in your network on relevant subjects. So there's so much here that I definitely want to split this up and give the audience a good taste of this episode and this knowledge that you've shared with us this evening. And
now,
folks,
now I wouldn't be worth my Jamaican passport if I didn't give you some brata. Right?
Let's have the brata. We have a minute.
Okay. So if you were trying, for example, I've been trying to promote my team building business and I wasn't getting a lot.
Yes.
So switch to something else. So I launched an Anne Thornley Brown actress page last year. I met an actress at an ACTRA conference. She said she started posting acting content, and casting directors who hadn't had her in for a while started having her in. So I launched an acting page, and guess what? Same thing happened to me. So remember, if you have more than one pot on the fire and one of them isn't coming to a boil, feel free to also use the platform for other purposes.
Absolutely. That's a great tip. And I certainly will definitely be using that tip as well. Folks, we enjoy having your feedback on the show. We welcome your feedback. We have engaging guests like Anne Thornley here with me. Definitely connect with her on LinkedIn and check out her amazing articles and features on the platform. And her company, again, it's Oasis Executives, right? Executive
Oasis International.
There you go. And folks, so this is the Reid Method Insider Podcast. Like us all over, we're all over in different platforms. So please remember, be safe, be intentional, and always, folks, keep progressing every single day. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you soon.